Hello, friends. My name is Cheryl Mays, and I am the founder and principal consultant for My Toolbox Consulting. Welcome to the My Toolbox podcast. Our guests today are going to talk about the love letter series that we are starting for the month of February and into March. And the love letter series is basically to talk about what we consider our love letters. Tonight's episode is the love letters of sisterhood. And I will ask the question to all of my guests, and they will share what they believe are the love letters in their own words. Our question will be, if you could write a love letter about something that you're passionate about and brings you joy, what would it be? And they will respond to that question, each of them. And you can always follow My Toolbox podcast on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to follow us and subscribe on our YouTube channel at My Toolbox Consulting. You'll get to hear from all of our guests as we share the episodes over the next few weeks. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will allow my guests to take a moment to introduce themselves. Ladies, whoever wants to jump in. Okay.
I'll go first. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for this special invite. I'm glad to share space with you tonight. I'm Andrea Blackman, and I'm just excited to be in the presence of these amazing women.
Thank you, Andrea.
Good evening, ladies. Thank you, Cheryl, so much for thinking of me to bring me into this group of amazing girls. Kathy Buggs, Cheryl and I have been in love with each other for a very long time. So I thank you so much for letting me share your space tonight.
Absolutely. Deborah?
I'm Deborah Moore, and I am happy to be invited because these ladies are part of my tribe. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And this is going to be, for those of you listening and or watching, this will be an organic relationship. These are the loves of my life. These are my friends, and I love them dearly. So when I talk about sisterhood, you will hear me refer to these women as my sisters. And so the conversation, we don't know where it's going to go. We're just going to have a conversation tonight. So prepare yourselves. I hope that you will get something from this. So ladies, let's start it off. So tell us, what does sisterhood mean to you? What's your love letter to sisterhood? And oh, by the way, we will have cocktails during this time. So
Some of us.
Some of us will have water.
some of us will have wine.
So since I'm the one that's drinking water, I will start it off. For me, sisterhood, and girls, please help me to get through this as well. Sisterhood is, to me, someone that I can call day or night, every day or maybe once a month. And that conversation starts back up where we left off. And the ladies that are here in front of me are those sisters that I feel like are not blood sisters, but sisters that I can tell anything to and talk about anything. And it's always so special to me to be able to look up and see one of them at any given day. It just warms my heart. So to me, sisterhood is someone that you trust, that you will do anything for, will give anything to for. It's help me, Drea. You know what I'm trying to say.
It is.
You're nodding.
It is. It's what we embody. It's how we enter into spaces with each other. Cheryl, when you gave us the question, you all know me and you know my brain, and you know I was trying to think, who are we going to bring into this space with us? And I think we should bring Audre Lorde into this space, who speaks about sisterhood. And one of the things that Audre Lorde said is that your silence will not protect you. And so for me, what this sisterhood, if I had to write a letter to sisterhood, it is what Kathy says. It embodies the knowing of the presence that each of you will bring into a space. It is the fact that I don't have to be silent. My voice is heard amongst this group, and I can rest in that. And so one of the things I think about as I think about sisterhood, and particularly this group, is the amount of joy and comfort, right? We don't even have to have the exact words to know what we are thinking and saying. It's a look. Kathy can give us a look. You all shaking your heads. We know it. Kathy can give us a look. Deborah can cut her eyes at me and I know she's about to correct me. Cheryl could send me a text in the middle of the night, like, girl, it is all of those things put together that, so when Audre Lorde talks about that we can't be silenced, for me, this sisterhood, this group right here, you have helped me be a voice. You have helped me find my voice. And so for me, as we think about what that love letter would look like for sisterhood, it is the fact that you all empower me, you lift me, and you love me regardless, but not afraid to correct me and stand with me regardless of what we are standing against. So if I had to say, dear love letter, I thank you for this time and for this space. I thank you for these women who helped me find my voice. I thank you for the journey that each of us have been on and thinking about what is yet to come. We have laughed together. We have cried together. We have corrected each other. Most of the time, let me be honest, they are correcting me. Let's get that out right now. That is correct. But the fact that each of you lift me up and help me speak. And so when Audre Lorde talks about we can't be silenced, that's what this sisterhood does. It embodies us an ability to speak, to love, and just to be.
And you made me think about, Andrea, I need you to, before we end this conversation today, share information on Truth Be Told podcast, because that has been such an inspiration to me. I absolutely live for the Fridays when the new episodes will be available. And for those listening and watching, we'll make sure that you know where to find the Truth Be Told podcast. It will change your life. And
It's amazing.
In saying that, Drea, one of the things that you just reminded me of, when we talk about love letters, I think in one of your podcasts, you were writing a love letter to your younger self. And that inspired me actually to write a letter to my younger self. And this sort of bled into the Love Letters podcast that we're doing today, or this series that we're doing today. And as I think about my younger self, I wish I had, even at a younger age, this type of sisterhood as I was growing up. I mean, I've had Kathy since I was 10, but to have a group of sisters that would have been there with you from the very beginning to today, I think I can honestly say, besides Kathy, I have one other friend that is a 50-year friend. And she and I have known each other all of our lives pretty much. But it is amazing to have that type of closeness with someone and that sort of trust. Trust is huge for me, because you can't give to everyone. You can't give your personal, you can't give your family, you can't give your love and your peace to everyone, because they won't accept it, and they won't appreciate it, and they certainly won't support it.
And they abuse it.
They definitely will abuse it. So
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that the conversations, and if the audience actually were able to tap into some of our previous conversations, they'd be like, really? Like, oh yeah.
But so Cheryl, that's full circle. And I'm not cutting Deborah off because I know she's got to go next, but I have to give credit where it is due. It's because of a conversation that I had with Deborah. We were sitting at our little it's our old spot now, but it was our new spot. Y'all know where we were.
Yes.
And we were waiting, and Deborah and I were sitting there, and so Deborah was saying to me, like, listen to me. I've been where you are. If I can go back and tell my 30-year-old self and my 40-year-old self, and it was that conversation that led to, oh, this is a for real thing. So you talking about, you listen to the podcast, I got it from a conversation with Deborah.
Yeah, and that's something, and that's where I get a lot of my thoughts too. When I'm in conversation and in space with y'all, a lot of ideas come to my head, because it's so, I guess it's just refreshing to be able to share the real you, the authentic you, and not have to worry about being in a judgment zone. You know, that judge-free zone is exactly what is needed. And I think in talking to several other women outside of our circle, they don't have that. And I feel away, but I'm glad I have my girls. You know, hopefully they'll get to that point. So Deborah, I'll give it to you.
Okay, I'm full, so but I'm gonna start. I, as a person that didn't have a sister, I have no sisters. The sisterhood is extremely important to me, and so it's a precious thing. The sisters that I pull into my circle and that I let into my circle. I'm a very private person, as you all know. So you are precious. The sisterhood is very precious to me. And like you said, it's a no judgment zone. And it's a support system for me. Kathy, you know, we've been through everything together. I mean, you know, we've been through the good, bad, ugly, and back to the good. I mean, we've been there. And no, we don't talk every day. We don't have to.
Yeah,
But
because
she
I know your
knows.
heart.
Right. She knows. Let anything go down. I'll be standing right there with her.
Yeah.
So does Cheryl. So does Andrea. They know. But that's what it's about. It's a support system. It's a very strong, it's a true support system. It's not fake. It's not imagined. It's a true support system. And it's from the heart. It's a support system from the heart. There's no, you know, you're not doing it for any, you know, for any reason at all except for love. And so you do it for the love of it. And that's all it should be. You know, there is no measurement of how much you're giving and taking. All that goes out the window. It doesn't have a place here in the sisterhood because it's all about giving. You know what? It's a respite from the world. You know, because as Black women, we're getting it every day.
All day, every day.
Every day. So, but when we get into the sisterhood, it's all real. We can all say, okay, we know what this is about. So we're going to go back out there, back out to the front line, and let's fix it. So we'll do it together. So you're not alone. And so that's what it's been about for me as someone who's grown up without a sister. I've never missed not having a sister because I have sisters. I have true sisters.
That's absolutely correct. And you know, when I think about having conversations and being in space with all of you, I know that I can take my worldly cape off and put it down and not think about it and just be the Cheryl that I know I can be. And I know, again, I'll go back to the no judgment.
And I'd love to see it, Cheryl. I'm telling you.
What? What you say?
And that's the gift that keeps on giving. Not everybody sees that, Cheryl.
Deborah.
So that's the gift right there. That's the gift that keeps on giving. And that's why I love being in the space with these beautiful women, because I know that I can be that person that sometimes the world won't let me be because I'm expected to be this or this. So the world has already determined, okay, when you are here, this is the person I need you to be, or I need you to be this person in this situation. But when I'm with y'all, I can just be, you know, if I just want to be the good
yourself.
Cheryl, if I want to be the not talking Cheryl, I could be whichever Cheryl I need to be, the real me. So authenticity is amazing, and it's so needed because as you said, Deborah, as Black women, we have to fight the fight every single day. We are always expected to be on the top, on number one in any given situation. We are expected to be the world's Band-Aid. And so sometimes you just want to rip that Band-Aid off and walk away.
And sometimes you don't want to be the Band-Aid.
Correct.
Sometimes you don't want to show up in every space and save every space. And so the sacredness of this group is I don't have to show up and save anything because most of the time you all are there pouring back into this cup, right? That's what we do for each other. We don't have to show up in expectation to save the world, to change the world, to be the world. We just show up.
Exactly. And
sometimes if we toe up, it's okay with that too. You know,
what?
It's okay. That's where you want to go.
That's right.
Exactly. And you know, the beautiful thing is too, when I think about a group of women like us, we have a lot more to offer than most folks think about. Especially to our children. You know, Kathy, when I think about your daughter and my daughter, who are the besties in the world, they get on my nerves, but I love them so much.
Yes.
But
Maddie's in my office today, getting on my nerves.
Yes. So here's the beautiful thing about that, though. When they are in our presence, they have something that a lot of young women their age don't have. They have access to all of this wisdom. They have access to knowledge. They have access to knowing. that a lot of young women would not necessarily have. And I think that's an amazing thing. Now, sometimes we access their knowledge, you know, and this is why I love young people, because they are super smart. And if you just listen, they can give you some resolutions that you wouldn't think would come from somebody their age. But because they have you and opera mamas, they've been through a lot and they know a lot, you know, so.
And they're not afraid to tell us what's right and what's wrong.
And not afraid to tell us what they think is
Think,
right or wrong.
exactly, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, so the sisterhood comes in all shapes and sizes, and I think that's, for me, that's the beautiful thing. My daughter, Courtney, is my daughter's sister. You know, she doesn't have sisters, she has brothers. So
Right.
for her to be able to experience that sisterhood through your daughter, that just makes my heart so warm, because otherwise she wouldn't have that closeness with someone. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and I absolutely love it. And I'm so grateful for them, even when they're getting on my nerves.
You know what, Cheryl, you talked about that parenting thing, and all of you have daughters, and I don't. I take on all y'all daughters. I accept them, and I love them as well. But two of you do have boys as well, young men, sons. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
sons, men. We got men. We ain't got no boys. We have men.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the things that I think is so important, you're talking about your daughters having access to us. What I think is equally important is that our young men that we raised, they have access to see what a healthy female relationship looks like. So when they enter into their relationships and start dating, they're not threatened by a woman who surrounds herself by other strong women. I think that's important too.
That's extremely important. And I think you'll see it in, I've already seen it in my son, who is hopefully going to get engaged sometime soon. I don't know, but I have already attached her as my daughter-in-law, so she's not going to go anywhere as far as I'm concerned. But you're absolutely right. I think it makes all the difference in the world. How do you choose your future mate if you don't have an example there? You know, how do you choose the person that you want to be with, not knowing how to be in a relationship? You know, so I think that makes all the difference in the world. And my baby boy,
It does.
absolutely, he is my dream. He is my dream. He is such a sweetheart of a young man. And I used to tell my boys all the time, both my sons are just absolute joys for me and in their own right. But I used to tell them all the time that the woman who gets you, my friend, is going to be thankful to me. She will send me flowers. She will send me candy. She will say thank you, because she is going to get an amazing man. So you are absolutely correct, Andrea.
Yeah, I am very fortunate that I do have two daughters in love, and so and people tell me, I have my brothers, other family members said, you know, I'm really jealous of your relationship with your daughters in love, because you're so close to them. They look at you like, you know, that you're their mom. And I said, well, I look at them like they're my daughters.
Mhm.
And so you've met them, you've met both of them, you know, well, you met one of them, but that was very important to me, because like you said, the sons bring home, you know, what the moms are. I mean, they want what mom is, you know, they want a strong, and I'm fortunate. Both of my daughters-in-law are very strong, independent women, but they are not afraid to call me for guidance. You know, if they say, hey, mom, come get me, let's go eat some crab legs. I'm like, I'm on the way.
Mhm.
Let's talk. Let's get in the car. So, but that's very important what you were saying, Cheryl. I agree with you. It is very important, because that's part of that extension of the sisterhood.
Absolutely.
You know, that's part of that extension of the sisterhood. You want to emulate that and pass that on, because that's important for the family core, for that to happen. So, and do I do it intentionally? Yes, but that's just who I am anyway. You know. That's just who I am.
The piece of that for me is that my daughter-in-law and my birth daughter are the best of friends too. You know, they call each other sister, and that means the world to me. And it just solidifies that relationship between her and my son. You know, if you ever met her, she from the day I met her, she was my daughter. And I treat her that way. I talk to her that way. And her mother even said to me, you are you treat my daughter as though she's yours, and I'm thankful for that. I'm like, absolutely I do, because I don't want her thinking, if she's in this family, she's in this family. There's no one toe in, it's 10 toes in. And she is all of that. I absolutely love her. And I tell my son all the time, you did well, son, you did well. So, you know, that's just to your point, that is an extension of sisterhood that I think that some young ladies will not know, unfortunately, but I'm open to bringing them all in. We'll
You know, I think no, don't say that. Don't say that.
Okay,
I'm
some
just,
of them.
because Deborah and Kathy have already, I'm gonna stop there. And I will say that I do think we are fortunate. We are so fortunate and blessed, but we may take this for granted to think that everybody has a network like us, right? They can take it, I've taken it for granted thinking that everybody's like, what do you mean you don't have a sisterhood? What do you mean you don't have a sister circle? What do you mean you don't have somebody older than you or younger than you that you can go to, who you can not just go to in some rough times, but like can kick it and change in a drop of a hat? Or we going to Miami? We going to Miami. Like, what do you mean you don't have someone who can ride with you, have your back, your front, and cover you? What do you mean? We take that for granted, I think, sometimes.
I think we do. We take it for granted quite often. And it's a blessing to know when you have those thoughts, you're like, you know what do you mean you don't have somebody? And then at the same time, you're thinking, yeah, but I do. So
Right.
I'm sorry that you don't, but I'm glad that I do.
But
Right.
you know, and
do we
I
ever
think
feel like we want to
also-
keep this? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
No. I was just saying the sisterhood that we've got. You when you said, what do you mean you don't have it when you're talking to someone else? I wonder if sometimes if people are jealous of the sisterhood that some people have because they don't have that, you know, that love and security with their girlfriends or even with their family members. So I cherish each and every one of you guys because God knows, you know, you've just got to have that ear. You know, Deborah can call me and she's like, hey, you've been on my mind. You've been on my mind. And you know, something has either happened in my life or I'm just not having a good day. And just to hear that voicemail or from a text from Cheryl or a text from you, Drea, it just makes a whole, you know, just a day and night. It's like, and I read something recently and it said, if you've got friends that have not reached out to you in 30 days, they're not your friends. And it's not about calling and let's hanging out but just, hey, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
Just checking on you. And that's so special to me.
That means the
Girl,
word.
I'm just be trying to get in the door. I'm coming
Yeah.
home.
Kathy,
Thank you.
that's Deborah though. How many times have Deborah texted me and said, I'm thinking about you? And it's
Yeah,
like, and it
come on.
scares me. It scares me because I'm like, how does she know? What? Or I call Deborah like, what's wrong? What do you know? And then I have to do my own search and like, wait a minute, how did you know?
I know.
She's gonna know. She's gonna know.
You're my sisters. Y'all my sisters.
I don't know how she does it, but she knows.
She knows.
And that's
She
the
knows.
even the simplest, silliest thing, you know, that could be happening in the world. And it's like, I may get a text from Kathy or Drea. Drea is one of those good ones that'll say, hey sis, just thinking about you, just checking on you. I'm like, okay. And I'll do the same thing, Drea, to be honest with you. I'm like, all right, now, how does she know that I was doing this? Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What is happening? Yeah, beautiful. Kathy, I love that frozen face of yours.
I do too. It is classic. It is almost a Kathy look.
It
Like,
really
so
is.
Take a picture.
What's that?
Kathy, you just had the
What's
best.
a Kathy look?
Oh, don't
Oh,
worry.
you know the Kathy look. Stop it.
No, we don't have photos of that. No, not at all. Wink, wink. You know what I was thinking about the other day, and this goes back to the sisterhood. I was thinking about the common denominator between all of us. And that is Miss Kathy. She is the common denominator. Like, had it not been for this queen, we likely would never have met one another. And I think
She's
that is-
frozen, but she's probably crying too
yeah,
right
she
now.
probably is. So that's okay that she's frozen. So
She is the common denominator.
she is the common denominator of our entire group. And so we have all come into her life at different points and different times. And it's
My frozen.
really interesting. It's just like Kathy and I have known each other since we were 10 years old, I think. And that's pretty amazing when I think about that. And at some point, she has met.
I'm not gonna say how long I've known. I don't know how, we were young. It was a long time ago.
And you know what? And so I've known her less than both of you, right? But you know what I think is so amazing? I knew about each of you before.
Yeah,
I knew
you
who
will
you
know.
were. So when
Right.
she, you know, I've known Kathy in a couple of different capacities, but not like you, not growing up, you know, I mean,
Mhm.
of who she is or her, you know, had the pleasure of bringing her daughter and working with her daughter, her husband, with Jerry. But the fact that I knew you about each of you, I knew about the glue that Kathy had with you. She'll say something like, you know, my girlfriend that I grew up with, my girlfriend from, you know, I did this,
Right.
or let me tell you about this, or even, you know, like I even knew like her girlfriend who was in her wedding, or who introduced her to
Mhm.
Wayman. So it is Kathy that is the glue to this group right here.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
So you can imagine, Miss Kathy, the stress in our lives when you decided to go to the car wash.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute.
Well,
When my daughter calls me and she says, Mama, Auntie Kathy, I'm like, okay, enough said. I'm leaving right now. I'm on my way. So, Miss Kathy, I need you to understand the importance of your connection to this group.
That's right.
You are the stem and on this tree. You are the one who is the root of this tree.
and I own it all. I own it all because I love each and every one of you. And the fact that I'm laying in the emergency room and I look up and Cheryl's there. I mean, at that point, pain just went away. So
Mhm.
It was really fun too for me because when I walked in, your husband was like, "Oh, you're here." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Where did you think I was going to be? Where is she? Well, I don't think they're letting anybody back there, but I said, no, let's go over here. He said, "Oh, we're going to get you back there." Yes, I know.
yes,
No worries. No
yes.
worries. But yeah, absolutely. When I think about this connection, you are the stem of the tree, my friend.
You are. You
You
are.
definitely
If
are.
I said that at Deborah's party, I was like, if it wasn't for Kathy, I would have never met Cheryl. I wouldn't have never met Deborah. I would not have had like these amazing big sisters in my life that I just can't, like, I can't even imagine my world before you now. Like, I know I've only known you less than a decade, you know, Cheryl and Deborah, but I can't even imagine my life like prior to this circle. That seems crazy, but I can't. I can't even imagine it anymore like that. Like we are a part of each other. That's it, period.
Absolutely.
And you know, and for the sisterhood, for Cheryl and I, we've known each other since we were 10 and 12. And Deborah has been in my life, you know, for what, 35 years, Deborah? At
Plus,
least,
maybe more.
yeah,
Yeah.
if not more.
You don't have to tell
we-
my age, but that's okay.
Whatever it is, you look good. You
And
look
we-
35. So you
connected.
look
That's
amazing.
all right.
And
got
you
the
know,
drop.
Long time.
I know what's in your tea. I know what's in that tea.
you know what's in that tea. So you know, for the and Deborah knows that I don't run with a crowd or a big crowd. I'm very selective, and then when I have to be careful when I share my friends with other friends because I'm like, I don't need one of those, girl, she was trash. Why
Right,
did you
Mhm.
even invite her?
right.
So I definitely appreciate the fact that we are still this great circle of friends, and the fact that I had a little bit to do with it. So that makes me feel a little special as well.
You had a
So,
lot to do with it, my
A lot, right? The irony, I mean, Cheryl's my neighbor. We live a street apart, and I would have
Right.
never, like, I knew her from the political world or from the advocacy in neighborhoods and school, but like, I was always afraid of her. I was like, ooh, I'm not going to talk to that lady.
Oh my God. But that's the beauty of this friendship, because we have all come from different areas in our lives, and we ended up in this same park. And Kathy is the main tree. She's the horticulturist in this park. So she is making sure that everything is pruned precisely, and it's just a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I find it really interesting because our daughters met in high school, and I had no idea the relationship that they had, because I used to hear about Courtney all the time, and she's like, oh yeah, I know Courtney from high school and blah blah blah. I'm like, and now those two are inseparable. It's almost kind of funny to me.
It is.
It's hilarious.
And the crazy part about the two of them, they'll send pictures of the two of them, and they're like, "That's you, Miss Cheryl."
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, or they'll send pictures side by side, and one will be them, and then the other one will be the two of us, and it's like, girls, what are you doing?
And anymore, if Kathy and I are together, and if we don't take a selfie and send it to them, it's like something is not right in the world. They almost expect it, because they're like, oh, I knew Miss Kathy was going to go here. I was wondering where you were. I'm like, you don't know us like you think you do.
Yeah.
And my daughter said to me the other day, what did she say? I sent her, I texted her about something, and she said, she was telling me how she was correcting me on something. And I was like, yeah, you're right. She said, you are so my child. I was like, whatever, man, I'm not your child. She said, yes, you are. You really are my child. I'm like, okay.
Yes, you are. Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
pretend to be your child for a second, since
Exactly.
you tell me what to do. But it just warms my heart to have those two. And when they're in the same space, it is, it's like a free pass at a comedy show.
So you don't think people have said that about us? I
Oh,
mean,
I
I
know.
love the girls, but
For sure.
do you
For
all
sure.
know what people have said about us? I'm not gonna say which one of us love to post when we together. I'm not saying which in this group love that, but do you know when people have witnessed us, they have said, what are y'all talking about? What are you laughing about? What could it be? Like, I know people think, they can only imagine, right, Deborah?
Yeah, because I sometimes I get home and I think, did we just do that? I wasn't even thinking about that. We were out in the parking lot.
Right.
I wanted to share what we were doing, and we weren't thinking about it. But
No.
anyway, but you're right. If we don't need to tell all the secrets. But another thing about the sisterhood that I wanted to interject was that it's not an inclusive club. It's not a club. This is something that where we spread the love.
Mhm.
That's right.
And Kathy knows, Drea, Cheryl, bring in whoever we need to bring in, who needs it for a season or for a time, if they need to be nurtured, if they need to be uplifted. I mean, that's what it's all about. Because I think about Drea, you have the big sisterhood that you're very active in, and that's a different kind of sisterhood where you have strong bonds. And Kathy, same thing, and Cheryl, in your work and in whether it's church or whatever. Same with myself. I have sisters at church that I'm very close to. I mean, so the sisterhood is, yes, we have our own little circle here that we're growing, but the fact is that it needs to grow, and that we need to spread the love and bring people in. And like you said, we have to we want to protect our privacy in this group, and we want to protect the confidentiality, because we want it to be a trust circle. It should be a circle of trust where you can, like you said, speak freely and do freely, and protect each other. So, and we're very protective, and that's what's very, it's just important. So, I just wanted to say that, because that's really what it's all about for me.
Yes, and I'm somewhat territorial when it comes to all of y'all. I'm very territorial when it comes to my sisters. I'm like, I don't know. I don't need you in this space, because we know what's happening over here.
Yep.
Thank you for wanting to be a part of this, but no, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Yeah,
But you know what?
and I don't
That's
always,
okay.
yeah, and I don't always agree with you guys. I mean, we don't always agree,
Oh, that's
but
so
that's
true.
okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's okay. But that's what sisters do. I
that's
mean,
right.
but
I
we're
mean, how many?
forgiving.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
love each other. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, me and Kathy haven't always agreed, but we're like, okay, bust that. I
Yep.
love you. We're gonna, it's not all that important. Life is too short.
Definitely.
Life
But
is
it's that part
too
that we show
short.
up authentically. Like that is like
Absolutely.
you said it's not an exclusive club and we are territorial, Cheryl, but the fact that what we're doing is protecting that authenticity, right? If I have
Yeah.
to be on 24/7 and all of us, I know what you all do every day from 8 to 5 and 7 to 5 and 7
Mhm.
we're always on.
Mhm.
We're expected to be on in the day. We're expected to be on in the evening. And so for those hours and moments that we can come and be our true authentic selves, that is something sacred about that. And I think that's what so Cheryl, it's not necessarily that you're territorial about us. I think it's also, we're being sacred and holding on to this space in this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right, Andrea. That's right, Drea.
Because as I said before, the world expects us to be a different way, but we have to be able to maintain this space so that we can be the people that we know we are. I was talking to my dad the other day and we had just heard something about somebody coming into Nashville and they said something to the effect of wanting to be here, but wanting to bring the there where they were to here. And I was like, listen, if you want to be here, you are going to be here and be in the space where we are and expect nothing from where you were. If you wanted to bring there to here, you should have stayed there and not come here. And so I say that about us, we are here. And I don't want someone who is seeing this and saying, well, I want to be in that and I'm going to bring some of this outside stuff into that. No, you just go over there and
You mess away. Yeah.
because this is our space and this is not one of those spaces where you just wake up one day and say, I want to be in the clique with the girls. And the good thing is it's not a clique. This is built over time. This is that overnight soaking, that you have got to do, and you've got to make sure that it's mended and blended. And there have been some things that, we have put our stamp on this relationship.
Right.
What's the overnight soaking?
Well,
like beans?
Oh, folk, come on, girl.
I mean, like beans. She's talking about like.
Come on, Drea.
Yeah,
I'm a Southern girl. You know what I'm saying?
You're a Southern girl, Dre.
Maybe she doesn't understand that. Maybe
Deborah,
she's not that kind of
Deborah,
cook.
I wanted to make sure
Maybe
that
she
she
does
was
the
thinking.
quick method.
We'll call it
I was like, is she thinking about beans or she think overnight soaking in the tub? I was just asking. I know you, Cheryl.
We're
Come on, potato pie. Come on, tater pie.
We'll say marinate. This has marinated for quite some time, and we finally got the seasoning where we needed to be on it. So you can't just walk up in here and say, I'm here, I'm going to be a part of this. This is a totally different type of situation here. So these are my sisters, and I am very territorial about my sisters. And so and let me just be clear. I don't not want anybody else in this space, but because we have what we have with us, we don't really have to have anybody else coming up in here. So I'm just
selfishly, you're so right. Selfishly, you're so right.
Yes, absolutely. Because
as the new kid on the block, I'm not saying a word because I still show up. Lord, let them ask me to come back. I'd be like scared. I thought about Miami and I was like, I'm going to be on my best behavior because I will get invited back. So I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, Dred, you're one of us now.
That's right.
You're one of us. You're stuck with us, my friend.
Yep.
And I absolutely loved it. I think Dre and I became closer during that trip because we had a good opportunity to have conversations that were deeper. And so that was fun for me. So we've got to do it again when Kathy and Deborah are not going to Target and not telling anybody where they're going.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there because this is going to be recorded. And I'm still thinking about them Target days too that we missed, Cheryl.
Correct. Yeah.
And I appreciate, and I'm glad we're talking in code. So there you go.
Yes, we'll talk about the
that
target
nobody else understands.
offline.
So there
Right.
you go.
Hey, when we go to Walmart, we'll let you guys go.
No,
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you, love. No, thank you. So low down. I'm so glad that we are recording this in our best way, that we are showing up authentically
With
for
code.
the with code. But you know the words I'm saying.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, ladies, we've got about 7 minutes left. So what I'd like to do in this last few minutes is, what would you share with anyone who is looking for a sisterhood, who is trying to create that space for themselves or for their friends? How do they create that space? How would you give them, what suggestions would you give them for creating that sisterhood space?
My mom always told me, in order to have friends, you must be a friend.
Mhm.
So I think we can give a recipe for how to create a sisterhood like ours. We can model it, but I think at its core, we have to show up as sisters.
Absolutely.
And when we show up as sisters, we will build a sisterhood. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
And you know, and I'm a firm believer in treat people the way you want to be treated. And that goes back to you know, granny and great granny telling you, you know, that, and a lot of prayer, because I pray every morning and every night, Lord, if they're not right for me, pull them out of my life.
Amen.
Mhm.
And because I'm getting to a point where I'm too old for foolishness and mess. And I think that's where that's what I would share. Just, you know, pray for some great friends. And it doesn't hurt to have a guy friend, you know, in your sisterhood group, or whatever group you want to call it. But I think my letter to my sisterhood letter would be, thank you, God, for these amazing sisters that are in my life.
Yes.
Ashe and amen.
I think it would be, if I had to share,
Amen.
Andrea, a recipe, there would be a few things that I would ask women to include in that recipe. So you need a big dose of trust.
Mm.
You need a big old cup of perspective. And you need all the godly that you can possibly get, because to your point, Kathy, it starts and it ends with a good prayer and a lot of faith and belief. And for me, if I don't have that in my life, I'm not sure that I would be able to maintain a sisterhood. So that's why I'm so thankful for each and every one of you, because I know, above all else, I know I can trust you. And
Yeah.
if I can't trust someone, I can't be in that space. It's just that simple.
It's not a safe space. You're right. If there's no trust, it's
Yeah.
not a safe space.
Yeah.
And the sisterhood should be a safe space.
Absolutely, always,
It should be.
always. And I'm so thankful for every single one of you, because I know, and you, to your point, Drea, and I promise you not to do this very often, but I know that I can send a text message at 2 a.m, because Drea is probably going to be up with me at 2 a.m.
Yes.
They
Yes.
both know that too. Deborah's asleep
Yeah.
by then, but Kathy knows. I say, well, when your pain meds aren't working, just call me. You know I'm awake.
Right.
No.
And that's me. I can tell you exactly what is on TV at a certain hour of the day. In fact, if you want to call me at 3:30 in the morning, pick up the phone and call me. I promise you I will not be asleep. But
Look at Deborah.
Well, thanks for telling me. I know who my nightbird sisters are in case I can't sleep one night. So I know who to call.
yes, ma'am.
So there, I didn't know that. So.
Yes, ma'am. There have been several times and I'm like, I
Yes.
can't call nobody
Yes.
that late. But yes, some of us are awake, and yeah, we're awake. But I'm always trying to be productive while I'm awake. So if I'm awake, I'm likely texting something or writing something down so that I'll remember it at 8 o'clock in the morning when I finally am coherent enough to do something about it. So, but thank you, ladies. You have made my entire Thursday. This has been a blessing, and I'm so grateful. We have to do this on a continuous basis, because this is truly a blessing. Well, we kind of do, but we don't always do it online. So
No, good thing.
yes, yes.
I
So,
mean, we do want to keep our good government jobs. Love, so
well,
that's,
sometimes we do. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us, Cheryl.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Cheryl.
inviting me, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And
Thank you.
what we
Yeah.
will do, Andrea, I want you to make sure if you want to go ahead and share your podcast information, I need people to know about Truth Be Told so they can tune in and get the same joy and that I get in my spirit every week. So please share that information.
Thank you, Cheryl. And Cheryl is, and both of these ladies continue to be our biggest fans for Truth Be Told. So wherever you subscribe to your podcast, like, share, and follow at Truth, the letter B, Told Pod. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl, for that shout out.
Absolutely. And thank you, ladies, again for joining me this evening. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Remember, join us on our YouTube channel at My Toolbox Consulting, or join the podcast at the My Toolbox Podcast to hear the latest from the Love Letters series. It will start airing on February 14th. And don't know how many episodes in the series it will be at this point, but there will be several. So stay tuned and let us know how you feel about this. And please let me know if you have any questions, feedback. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.